in the dark and you just can't find it? Well, every year my grandparents come to visit and they stay in my room. And being a little bit old, they go to sleep earlier than I do. So I'm downstairs hanging out with my sister and my mom, and I realize that I forgot my pajamas upstairs. So I go up the stairs super quietly in the dark and I try to feel my way around to see if I can find my pajamas. But no matter how hard I try, I either just make more noise or I just can't find them. So I finally turn on the light, and within 2 seconds I have them on, and I'm down the stairs already. And I think it's kind of the same way in life. We try to find things in the dark without a light, without Jesus, and it just doesn't work out so well. And in 2 Samuel 22:29 it says, "You are my lamp, O Lord. The Lord turns my darkness into light." Can you imagine looking for things during the night if we didn't have the light of the moon? And I think it's kind of the same thing in our lives, is that we have dark areas and we try to find our way through life alone, but we need the light of Jesus. And Isaiah 42:16 says, "I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them." And I know that personally I've had a lot of rough patches where it feels like there's no hope for the future. And when I ask God to help me through that, and I ask Him to be in our life, or in my life, He helps me see the light that's at the end of my dark path. He helps me realize that I need Him. I can't do this alone. And so when I have Jesus in my life, He gives this light to my dark path, and He helps me see that there is a hope for my future, and I'm not alone. Isaiah 60:19 says, "The sun will no more be your light by day, nor will the brightness of the moon shine on you, for the Lord will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory." And I think that verse just kind of means, like, we can't rely on the light of the earth. We have to rely on the light of heaven, which is Jesus. Jesus is the sun that shines in our life every single day. And God gave His Son Jesus so that we could have eternal life. He gave us a hope, because without Him we have no future. And God lightens our life, and He shows us that everything's going to be okay in the end, no matter how dark we think things may be. Sometimes I get stressed out by things that I have going on in school, or I get overwhelmed with things going on in my family, and I feel like tomorrow is never going to come, or that like the problems that I have right now are never going to be resolved. And I focus on the things in this world because I feel like I have an unsure future, and I have so many decisions to make, and I just feel completely alone. And every once in a while I'll just lay in my bed and look at my ceiling, and I realize that I'm not alone, because God is always with me. I mean, He's by my side no matter what, whether I feel alone or whether I feel like I'm surrounded by so many people. And I think that we all need to remember that, is that we're never alone, and this world is never too dark for us, because God is always shining a light on our lives. Jesus is the light shining at the end, and He shines on our path all the way through. He's not just a light we can turn on or off, but it's whether we choose to use His light. We can turn away and just focus on our own abilities and our own strengths, but without God we have nothing. So it's just like looking for things in the dark, we can't really find them, and turning a light on will help us find things. It's just like in our lives, when we're searching and searching, without the light of Jesus we'll have nothing, and we'll never find anything. Because focusing on the things in this world to get us through, it just won't sustain us, but Jesus always will. I used to go to camp every summer, and I remember walking back from campfire at night, and I remember when I forgot my flashlight, and we had to walk back to the cabin, and I had no idea where I was going. And so I always looked for a friend who had a flashlight, and I just remember thinking that having a flashlight shining the way to where I'm going made it so much easier. And when the power goes out in my house and I have to use a candle to see where I am, or see my hand right in front of me, it just makes things so much easier to have a light shining in the darkness. And it's just, in our life, Jesus is the light that's always shining, so that things are never dark and things are never too dim. And He's the light at the end of our paths, no matter how dark and dreary they may seem. Because Jesus and the sun, He's the only light that is always sustaining. A candle will always flicker out, the batteries on a flashlight will die, the sun will go down. But Jesus, He's always in our life, and He'll never leave us. I know for me personally, I sometimes try to focus on the things in this world to get me through. And I try to focus on my own strengths and my own abilities. But it never seems to work out. I always have this darkness at the end of that. And I realize that God is the only light that can fully get me through, because the things in this world just don't compare to Him. He's the sun and the only light that's worth it. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning and I'm driving to school, I'm not always in the happiest of moods. But when I look up and I see the sun rising, it just reminds me that things are going to be okay. And when I'm driving home after a long, agonizing day of school and I see the sunset, it constantly reminds me that Jesus is by my side. Because sometimes I can't feel Him there, and sometimes I can't even see Him, and I feel completely alone and helpless. But I remember that God is with me no matter what. He's the sun, the source of light in my life that will never grow dim, no matter how dark things may seem. So I just want to remind you guys that no matter the event that's hurting you, no matter how much pain you may be feeling, there's always a hope in our lives. And Jesus is that light that's fully sustaining. And He'll shine on us and shine on our lives until the very end. And so whether you can see your future and your path and where it's leading or not, just remember to turn to God, because He's shining on us and He's showing us where to go. And He's leading us to our destination, and that's heaven.